After a string of mostly third-party character builds, I really wanted to make the Scion of the Three Rogue work. I love the concept, but the biggest limiting factor by far is that you need a high intelligence score to get your most out of the special teleport reaction that you get, and that's really hard to put on a rogue because you can't natively attack with your intelligence. Thankfully, two subclasses have now given us an ability to attack with our intelligence, and while the Bladesinger is one that I think a lot of people would consider, I'm actually a lot more interested in using the Artificer Battlesmith as my basis for this. Aside from the 3 levels in Artificer though, this will be an entirely rogue build, and is also the first build I've taken to 20 just because I wanted to see what the damage ended up as. It is very possible that I've missed out on some optimizations here. I think there's a big argument for going fighter. I think there's a big argument for doing a bunch of other stuff. I think the biggest argument is just to stick with Battlesmith. Honestly, I do think the Battlesmith is also not 100% fantastic with the new rules either. They didn't give it the special cantrip, extra attack. Yes, you can attack with your doggo or Steel Defender pet instead as one of your attacks, which is nice, but it's hard to get that damage up as well. So yeah, this build is going to be me grabbing 2 lumps of Play-Doh and trying to form it into a functioning rocket ship. It comes out alright in the end, but yeah, join me as we go through this journey together. Let's start off with the point buy thing. Also, the character's name is I'm trying, please be patient. So we've gone 8 for strength, 14 dex, 16 con, 17 intelligence, 10 wisdom, and 8 charisma. You could put an extra point into dexterity if you wanted to. It's of little to no real interest to us because we have enough to max out our medium armor dex boost, which is what we're going to be wearing for this build. I went elf, and I went for a high elf to get access to a free cantrip of our choice, which we are going to be using Vengeful Blade for, which is an Ilreg cantrip, which does 1d8 extra as you go. It's basically Booming Blade, but instead of working when they move, it works when they attack, which I think is generally more consistent. You can use Booming Blade, you can use True Strike. True Strike will obviously change the damage. Booming Blade will not change the damage especially, but I am letting you know that that's the one I'm going for because I like it the most. And I'm factoring that into our attack damage as well. For our background, we've gone Criminal for the alert feat because it's good on a rogue. Ultimately, we're also, because our dex is lower, it's nice to have the alert boosting our initiative rolls. And as I said, we are starting off with Artificer level 1 as well. We're going to be using a dagger for the first 2 levels, and then we can switch over to a rapier at level 3 when we get martial weapons proficiency. Our aim here is one-handed weapon and then shield and medium armor. It gives us an AC, starting AC of 19, which is pretty good as long as you can get, I think it's half plate I went for. And then obviously we get to add our cantrip damage to our attack as well. So our initial attacks at level 1 are doing 1d4 plus 1d8 plus 2 because it's using our dex mod, which means that we're doing an average of 9 damage, which is something. We do get access to spells here. Obviously, I've taken Booming Blade and True Strike just because I can, Long Strider because movement, and Cure Wounds because it's nice to have a little bit more survivability, I think, especially because this version of a rogue is probably going to be in combat a lot. You can pick whichever ones you want. There is a long list of spells, longish list of spells you can take. These ones are the ones that made sense to me. False Life could also be a very good choice as it lasts until you take a long rest, right? So yeah, False Life and Cure Wounds might be the right plays here, but it's up to you. In terms of traits and everything, you choose whatever you think fits the character best. That's the most important thing. We can also make a bunch of our basic things here, which I think fits the later on rogue feel quite nicely. Anyway, let's go to level 2. What's fun about this is because we're an Artificer, I get to factor in magical items to our whole shtick, which is nice, right? I try not to anyway. We're going to take a dagger +1. We're going to take a rapier +1. We're going to take a shield +1, and then you can pick whatever you want. Alchemy jug, why not? The aim here is that this level we'll be using a rapier, a dagger +1, so we get an extra +1 to our damage, which is better than nothing, ultimately. And then next level, we'll switch over to the +1 rapier. The shield +1 also makes we've got a nice round 20 AC, which is really quite solid, especially for a rogue. Damage-wise, this only gives us a 1 point boost, so we're going up to 10 from 9, which is fine. I'm so fighter-pilled with these builds that I forget that most classes don't get to, come out sprinting. but here we are. Level 3, we're going to choose our subclass. We're going to choose the Battlesmith because it lets us attack with our intelligence modifier, which is the most important thing. It gives us the shield spell as well, which means we have a potential AC of 25, although we are mostly going to be using our reaction to do our teleport attack. It's still good to have in a pinch. We get proficiency with martial weapons, which is great, and we also get our steel defender, which can look like whatever you want it to look like, which is nice, and does a respectable-ish amount of damage, at least at this level. It also means we're actually using our bonus action, because that's not something that we're really doing with this build. Obviously, as a rogue, you do have a wealth of different bonus actions to choose from, but we're not there yet. But it does mean that we get to change up our damage a bit. So our basic damage now is 1d8 plus 1d8 plus 4, which is 3 is our intelligence, plus the 1 for the plus 1. So that's nice, because that's gone up to 11, which is still somehow just a 1 point boost. I've made a dice calculator. I realized I messed up one of the numbers and probably carried through all my maths incorrectly. So I'm taking a brief break from talking about this to figure out the maths to make sure it's correct. All right, I've returned from the mathematical mines. I fixed it. What fun this is. We're talking level 3 damage, right? Anyway, yeah. So we're doing a hit, and then we're doing a still doggo hit, which is using our bonus action. Oh, how annoying. I love messing up basic calculations. I say this like I'm not multiplying multiple dice in this, but the dice calculator will fix that for me going forwards. I don't know why I haven't made one before. It was really easy. I know how to build spreadsheets, an incredibly basic spreadsheet as well. I could just... It's a whole thing. Don't worry about it. Anyway, level 3, we are an artificer. Yeah, potential AC of 25. You got the doggo to attack. There is a temptation to take 2 more levels in this class to get 3rd level spells, especially because one of those is a smite, which is nice. It's not really worth it. You can't use a cantrip and your extra attack, which means that you're actively losing damage by attacking twice instead. And although you could replace one with your steel defender for an extra steel defender attack, you still can't use the cantrip, so you're going to be losing damage on that. It's frustrating, but it is what it is. This is what we're dealing with. This is not a third-party class. I'm not going to homebrew this to fix it. This is just how they decided it should work. So it does mean we're doing 1d8 plus 1d8 plus 4 for our main attack because of the Vengeful Blade and the Rapier, which means we're doing 13 damage plus 4, which is 13. And then as our bonus action, we're getting our doggo to attack. I'm calling it a doggo. You can be what you want. Which is 1d8 plus 5, which is 9.5. So we're doing a total of 22.5 damage. Let's move on to level 4, at which point we're saying goodbye to the art and hello to the rogue. Does roguey things, as I'm sure you're all aware. As ever, just pick whichever ones you want. I'm just clicking whichever ones we end up on. I really don't mind. Weapon mastery wise, Rapier is Vex. We like Vex. Other than that, I would take maybe a short bow or something. You can use a short bow with your... or a longbow, because it attacks with finesse, right? That's how that works, I believe. Also, there's some shenanigans you could theoretically do. If your DM lets you move your Steel Defender as part of your, like, during your turn, you could potentially use that as your ally for sneak attack 2, which is good. Anyway, damage-wise, this is a small boost. It's not the end of the world. It's not massive. It's not terrifying. 1d6. So it takes us up from 23 at the last... 22.5, sorry, at the last level to... Did I not update the damage? I didn't. Yeah, 22.5 damage on level 3 to 26 at level 4. I've done all the maths. My brain is nothing. There's no brain left. Anyway, level 5 is Rogue 2. Level 5 means that our cantrips gets bigger, which is nice. It's an extra 2d8 damage. So the cantrip breakpoints, we get an extra 2d8, and at the Rogue break, which is every other level for Rogue, we also get an extra 1d6. So there's a lot of dice involved in this silly build, and I hate calculating rogues because of this, but here we are. Anyway, your attack at this now is doing 1d8 plus 3d8, so 1d8 for the Rapier, 3d8 for the Vengeful Blade, plus 1d6 plus 4, which is 25.5, and your doggo is doing 1d8 plus 5, which is just 9.5. So we're doing total damage here of 35, which is interesting. We don't have our reaction attack yet, is the trouble. So you could be opportunity attacking and potentially getting more damage here, but we can't, like, guarantee that as of yet, because we've got nothing that lets us guarantee that, like set or the studied response from the Wanter Hunter. Also a good choice. Probably a better way of doing this. But I chose to suffer, so we will continue to suffer. At level 6, we are a Rogue 3, which means we get to take the Scion of the 3 subclass, which allows us to pick an option here. It really doesn't especially matter here for the Dread Allegiance, because we're not using it, so pick your favourite. Most important thing here is the Bloodthirst feature, which reads, when an enemy you can see within 30 feet of yourself takes damage and is bloodied after taking the damage but not killed outright, you can take a reaction and teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of that enemy. You can then make one melee attack. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of once, and you regain all uses on a long rest. Because our intelligence modifier is our main aim here, although it is only a 3 at the moment, that still means that we can actually do all of the damage we're doing at the moment for 3 rounds in total, which is not terrible, to be perfectly honest. This is a bit more consistent than some of the more Novery builds I do, and my next one will be a bit more Novery. It's not bad. I like the imagery, and I wanted to make it work. So, at level 6, our damage, because of the Bloodthirst, which is 1d8 plus 2d6, because our sneak attack damage went up. We're now doing 1 hit of 29 as our main action with a cantrip, a hit of 9.5 still because of the doggo, and a reaction attack of 15.5, which puts our damage up to 54, assuming I've done the maths correctly. And I'm not assuming I have at this point. I put a lot of time into the maths. It's just sometimes stuff that slips through the cracks, you know? Level 7 gives us Rogue 4. I'm going to be honest, because we are a rogue using our intelligence to attack, our options here are interesting, and by interesting I do mean mostly not good. I would recommend Shadow Touched because it gives you a boost to your intelligence, which is what we're looking for. We're looking to go up to our 18 intelligence to get the modifier higher. It also gives us another spell. Picking up False Life or something would be good. You can also pick up Wrathful Smite if you would like to, but it's not really worth it because of the aforementioned issues with everything. Pick whatever you want. Basically, we're not going to be using it. Having the invisibility spell prepared is nice though, because it obviously helps as a rogue. So this isn't a big boost to our damage. It adds +1 to all of our attacks, which puts us up to 57 basically, because it does affect our steel doggo as well. Level 8 is Rogue 5, which means we get Uncanny Dodge, which we're not going to be using because we're using a reaction to do the attack. Please bear with me. You do also get your Cunning Strike, which is nice. More importantly, you get an extra d6 for your sneak attack. So we're now doing an average of 64 damage per round. Level 6, you get expertise and 2 skills. This does nothing for our damage. Yes, there's a lot more to D&D than damage, and I do genuinely believe that. I love being a silly little dude with a voice, but for these builds, expertise isn't especially helpful. So, 64 damage still. At level 7 for Rogue, which is level 10 for us, gives us Reliable Talent, which is good. It gives us Evasion, which is also good because that doesn't take a reaction. And it also gives us an extra d6 on our sneak attack, bumping us up to 71 damage. It's funny because as hard as rogues are to do all the dice numbers for, I say hard, it's not like it's challenging, it's just a pain in the butt to remember, especially when you're multi-classing. Anyway, my point is that rogues aren't especially interesting to level up. You don't get to make many choices. Because I'm not that enamored with any of the feats here, I am just going to bump our intelligence up to 20, because it gives us another 3 points to all of our attacks, 1 per attack, basically. So another 3 points across all of our attacks. Even we also get a bump to our cantrips because we are level 11 at this point, which means we get an extra 2d8 as well on that first attack. So we're now doing 1 hit of 47, 1 hit of 11.5, and 1 hit of 24.5, which puts us up to a total of 83 damage per round, which is not great. But it's not bad. Level 9, we get more sneak attack damage. We also get Strike Fear, which is a Cunning Strike option, which we're not planning on using, but it bumps our damage up to 90. Rogue 10 gives us the Rogue bonus feat. I thought it would be fun to pick up Bloodlust, which is from the Astarion book. It lets us improve our strength, dex, or con. We are going to be taking an extra point in con, because we're going to get our constitution up to 17 with this one. It allows us to be more consistent with our hit point dice rolls, which is nice, and also once per turn when you hit a bloody creature that isn't a construct or undead with an attack roll, you can expend a hit point dice to regain a number of hit points equal to the number plus your con mod. You can do this number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all uses on a long rest. This gives us a lot more survivability, which is good. Doesn't do anything for our damage, so we're still at 90. But hey, survivability is good. We remember we've got an AC of 20 as well, and a potential AC of 25 if we want to use shield. So this is a relatively sturdy rogue. At level 11 gives us improved Cunning Strike, which we're not using. Gives us another 2d6 across the 2 attacks, so it gives us another 7 damage. We are up to 97. Not quite broken that century mark. Level 12 gives us an ability score. I rate Speedy here. Again, we're going to boost our con, so our con is up to 18. Increases our speed by 10 feet, which is nice. Opportunity attacks now have disadvantage against us, which is also nice. And when you take the dash action, difficult terrain is irrelevant, basically. So it's a nice bump to our mobility as well. This is a relatively well-rounded character by this point, but you're also level 15. So, you know, do with that what you will. Level 13 brings with it the other subclass feature that makes us really want to have a good intelligence, which is Aura of Malevolence. It reads, when you radiate malignant power associated with one of the dead 3. When you use Bloodthirst and Teleport, each creature of your choice within 10 feet either of the space you left or the destination space, it's up to you, takes damage equal to your intelligence modifier. The damage type is the same as the resistance granted by the dead 3. The damage also ignores resistance. I have factored this in mathematically as just triggering once, but it's not impossible you're hitting a couple of creatures with this. So it could be a better damage boost than I'm giving it credit for. We also get 1 more d6 on our sneak attack. So it bumps us up from 97, the last level, which is level 15, to 109, which is a nice little jump. Rogue 14 takes us to level 17, gives us Devious Strikes, which is fine. More importantly, it boosts our cantrip damage up again, so we're going up to 118 damage. At Rogue 15, we are level 18. We get Slippery Mind, which is fine. Boosts us up to 125 damage because of the extra sneak attack. Rogue 16 is an ASI, and because we are level 19, we get an epic boon at this point. And I do think that the correct choice here is the boon of Combat Prowess. We're going to bump our intelligence, just cuz. It's 21. That way if you get another boon somehow, I don't know how. Technically, you could take another level in Battlesmith, in the Artificer, and you could take another prowess boon, and then you could have 2 of these and boost your intelligence to 22. That is a viable course of action, but it does mean that you would miss out on the Rogue Capstone, which I think would be a shame. So our damage at this point is 125, but this boon means that we can hit once per turn every single turn, which is fantastic, because that's a big deal when you're only attacking once per turn. Yay. Our final level, I can't believe this is the first build I take to 20, but I really need to see how far I could take this, is Dread Incarnate, which gives us a boost to our consistency of sneak attack. I'm taking average rolls anyway. This doesn't really affect the average roll. Not really. So it might bump it up by 0.5, but I'm not adding like 0.5 to all of this. So our final damage anyway with the extra 1d6 from the sneak attack is 132. At this point you're doing 132 damage for 5 rounds in total, really consistently. If you've read a book that's boosted your intelligence, that's up even higher. So is the damage itself. I think I did an alright job of making this work. I'm happy-ish with the result. If you assume that your DM is also giving you some other items to use, then that's cool. I just wish you didn't have to change things up to get more out of this rogue class. I love the flavour and some of the design philosophies behind it, and then other ones are baffling, as has been so often the case with first-party D&D in the last few months. But that is that for today. If you enjoyed it, I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to justify the amount of time I spend thinking about numbers and math rocks. Glad I was an accountant in a previous life. But yes, do take care, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.